FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried will no longer face a campaign finance charge at an October criminal trial. The reason, it's a little unclear, but apparently the Bahamian authorities, so he was extradited from the Bahamas, and they're claiming that on the indictment, on the extradition request, this was not listed, that campaign finance charges were not listed. And so that is what he's not. So his lawyers argued that he shouldn't be facing charges for campaign finance, and it looks like that ended up being dropped. So a little bit murky on that. Doesn't seem to make total sense, because it seems to me that if you extradite a criminal and they've committed crimes, once you get them on your soil, you should be able to charge them with more crimes if you discover more crimes. It shouldn't just be like, well, we'll only charge you with the crimes we discovered while you were away. And then once you get here and we find out, oh, you murdered somebody, oh, well, we didn't extradite you for that, so I guess we can't charge you for that. I'm a little unclear with that, but this is what they're saying at this point as to why he is not going to be, why they're not going to be pursuing campaign finance crimes in this upcoming October trial. And they say that they're trying to keep with U.S. treaty obligations to the Bahamas. So Sam Bankman-Fried is the young, I think he's 30, 31 years old, FTX founder, crypto guru, rose to, shot up in prominence. He ended up being one of the largest political donors in American politics. So young guy, crypto world, suddenly he's giving loads of cash, primarily to Democrats. Now, I do want to mention that even though he is not going to be facing campaign finance charges, he does still face 7 counts of defrauding or conspiring to defraud customers, investors, and lenders. He's also currently, at this point, he's in house arrest. That is being charged. That is being challenged. The judge is thinking about it. But right now he is confined to his parents' Palo Alto, California home as part of a $250 million bail package. And they've asked the judge to revoke this, but we're going to see, because they claim that he has extensive contact with the news media and that this is affecting the jury pool. His lawyers are denying this. And so the judge has imposed a gag order until they decide on the issue of whether or not he can remain in his parents' home. So that's where he's at right now. He's still under house arrest. He's still facing charges. They're just dropping this campaign finance charge against him. But that's an interesting one, right? Because his primary donors were Democrats. So the big question is, who's protecting him? Are they protecting him? Are they protecting themselves? Lots of questions here. So first of all, what were these campaign charges that are now dropped? Well, they claim that he used tens of millions of dollars in FTX funds to illegally make more than 300 political donations. And according to the indictment, the contributions were unlawful because they were made with corporate funds, or they were made in the name of a straw donor. So a straw donor is this person you're giving them the money and it's going under their name because maybe you've already hit the maximum. And so you want to give money to somebody else to give so that the maximum, then they can give more. The filing says, quote, in dozens of instances, Bankman-Fried's use of straw donors allowed him to evade contribution limits on individual donations to candidates to whom he already donated. These contributions were disguised to look like they were coming from wealthy co-conspirators, when in fact the contributions were funded by Alameda Research with stolen customer money. In total, between in or about the fall of 2021 and November of 2022, Bankman-Fried and 2 FTX executives who served as straw donors as part of his scheme collectively made millions of dollars in contributions, including in hard money contributions to federal candidates from both major political parties. In dozens of instances, Bankman-Fried's use of straw donors allowed him to evade contribution limits on individual donations to candidates to whom he had already donated. So those are the those were the charges that are no longer there against Sam Bankman-Fried. He allegedly enlisted at one point a political consultant to ask one of the FTX executives to make a donation in their name, because he said, quote, you being the center left face of our spending will mean you give to a lot of woke shit for transactional purposes. And even though the executive was uncomfortable about making the donation in his name, he agreed because he said that there was no one trusted at FTX who was bi or gay and in a position to make the contribution. That was all according to the indictment. So who did he give to? That's the big question. Well, according to the Center for Responsive Politics, during the most recent election cycle, campaign donations from the crypto world exceeded those of the defense and auto industries combined. So think about that. More money came from the crypto world. Now, this is really interesting because what we've seen with Operation Choke Point 2.0 recently that I've been covering on this show, where they've been shutting down banks that are banking the crypto community, and they're trying to basically, it looks like a concerted effort to go after the crypto community and to basically get rid of them and not allow them to actually function. And that's odd, right? It's odd that they're going after, predominantly Democrats going after the crypto community when FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and the crypto community combined gave more in political campaign donations than the defense and auto industries combined. Normally, when you give a lot of money like that, they start to work in your favor, right? They start to make legislation in your favor, and that is clearly not what happened. But maybe there was something else at play, and we'll get to that once we find out who he contributed to. Because I do believe there was a big actual conspiracy behind all of this. I, once again, put on my conspiracy theory hat, call me conspiracy theorist, whatever. SBF contributed more than $70 million to election campaigns in less than 18 months. So very rapidly gave a lot of money. He personally gave at least $40 million to politicians and political action committees ahead of the 2022 midterm elections, mostly to Democrats and liberal-leaning groups, making him the second overall top donor to Democrats, only behind George Soros. And that is according to the Center for Responsive Politics. So, again, you're making a lot of donations. You got a lot of people that you're basically paying off. That's how our American political system works. Why then is Operation Choke Point 2.0 happening? Why are Democrats in charge of this basically just collapsing, attempting to collapse and go after the crypto community? Sam Bankman-Fried made one of the largest donations to Joe Biden's presidential campaign in 2020, contributing $5.2 million. That was according to the Wall Street Journal. He also donated a significant amount to fundraising committees and super PACs affiliated with, they claim, both parties. Now, they tried to say that Sam Bankman-Fried was giving to both Democrats and Republicans, but we'll get to the Republicans he donated to and whether or not that's actually accurate. You know, there's always this trying to paint it like, oh, he gave it to he's giving to both. No, he gave to Democrats nearly exclusively. But we'll get to that. So let's talk more about these PACs that he gave to. The single biggest recipient of his money was a PAC called Protect Our Future, which is a Democratic-aligned super PAC that claims it was designed to help elect candidates who will be champions for pandemic prevention. The group received $27 million from Sam Bankman-Fried. He also gave a combined $7 million to the two main super PACs supporting Democratic candidates for Congress in the 2022 elections. Now, lawmakers that received maximum donations from Bankman-Fried include Democratic Senators Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Cory Booker of New Jersey. Also, FEC filings show that Senator Debbie Stabenow and Maggie Hassan were the candidates to receive the most money directly from Sam Bankman-Fried this year, at over $20,000 each. Now let's get to the bipartisan claims. So he did give to some Republican senators, but who were those Republican senators? Well, of course, they were Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, the two Republicans who often vote alongside the Democrats, right? They're often caucusing with the Democrats, and that's who he gave some money to. So it was bipartisan, don't you know? He also did give to Senator John Boozman of Arkansas. He is a Republican. Senator John Boozman was potentially going to be doing some crypto legislation, and so that was maybe a really strategic one. But, to try to claim that he gave in a bipartisan way, that's not where what the trail tells us. The trail tells us that he gave nearly exclusively to Democrats. He was the second largest Democratic donor behind George Soros, for goodness sakes. The guy was loved by Democrats and gave a lot of money to Democrats. He did, however, claim on a November phone call with YouTuber Tiffany Fong that he donated an equal amount to Republicans and Democrats. He said, quote, "All my Republican donations were dark," saying that that means that these political donations were not publicly disclosed in FEC filings. And he said, quote, "The reason was not for regulatory reasons. It's because reporters freak the F out if you donate to Republicans. They're all super liberal, and I didn't want to have that fight." Okay, maybe, right? That sounds reasonable enough to say. Plenty of people would believe you. Maybe, maybe not, right? Maybe not. There's no trail that he gave to Republicans except for Senator Murkowski and Collins, who often were Republican champions for Democrats. Now, at one point last year, ahead of the midterm elections, Bankman-Fried and his co-conspirators agreed to contribute at least $1 million to a super PAC supporting an unnamed Democratic congressional candidate who was affiliated with pro-LGBTQ issues. And that is when they went to that FTX executive and said, you being this center-left face, you're going to give to a lot of these woke shit for transactional purposes, and that's what they ended up giving to. So a lot of money, again, just going to Democrats, going to Democrat causes, and going to Democrats. That's just really what was going on there. So now let's talk about the implications. So you've got all these Democrats that he gave money to, second largest donor behind George Soros. And now, campaign finance violation charges are no longer in existence for Sam Bankman-Fried. He's going to be dealing with other charges that don't have anything to do with Democrats. Isn't that convenient for them? It really is, isn't it? So the implications on this is, first of all, that a number of the lawmakers were facing growing pressure to give up their campaign contributions from Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX to either give that money back or to give that money to charity. So there was this growing chorus from people saying, "What are you going to do?" Reporters going to these Democrats who were given money that we know about, saying, "What are you going to do with this money? Are you going to give it back? Are you going to donate to charity?" And so we're talking gobs of money. The second largest donor behind George Soros, we're talking gobs of Democrat money. What are they going to do? So there's a lot of pressure on Democrats to give the money back or to give it to charity. Who wants to do that when we're talking about this kind of money? So there's that implication. Now they don't have to do that. Now there will be no questions. He's not facing charges on this. They won't have to, no one's going to be digging through their campaigns to find out where the money came from and who and how, and no one's going to be asking for the money back because you can't prove that there was any sort of violation or there's not going to be any investigation into it necessarily. So that right there could end. We could see the chorus to give the money back. We could see that just kind of die off by the wayside. But the bigger implication, and the one that I'm more concerned about, is what was really going on here. With FTX suddenly collapsing, that was the first of the crypto world to start to go under. And then suddenly we saw this chain reaction, and a lot of these banks that went under, or a lot of the crypto banks that were going under, like Silicon Valley Bank, when they had a lot of crypto clients, or we had Signature Bank of New York, which was a crypto bank. We had another crypto bank go under. We're seeing all these crypto banks and crypto-friendly banks having real problems, and a lot of them pointed to, well, it started with the collapse of FTX. And there's a big question there. If FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried were giving so much money to Democrats, then why were Democrats going so hard against crypto? Maybe because FTX was meant to do this from the beginning. Maybe this guy shot up in the crypto world from nothing, and within months was one of the largest crypto trading platforms. How is that possible? A lot of people wondered that. There were a lot of questions there. And potentially there is a genuine conspiracy there that would need to be investigated. There's not really any evidence of this at this point, except just a lot of fishy business. And that fishy business should be looked into. Of course, if you see something that smells funny, you probably ought to go and investigate and find out where the stench is coming from. And in this case, this is odd. This is very odd. The whole thing stinks. So was FTX, the rise of FTX, a concerted effort to make it rise, to give credibility to the crypto world for a moment, only to purposefully collapse it and purposefully shake up the industry and then end up going after Operation Choke Point 2.0, which is collapsing these crypto banks? It's all very, and then, oh, Sam Bankman-Fried, you did the job you were supposed to do, so now we're not going to charge you. We're not going to go after you with these charges. And, I wouldn't be surprised if the next, the other 7 charges that he's facing, I wouldn't be surprised if those suddenly get reduced or disappear because he's the good lackey boy who did what he was supposed to do for the powers that be that wanted him to do it. And it's not that, we have to be really clear on this, it's not that he was doing the dirty work for Democrats. Democrats are doing the dirty work also for someone else or for something else. This is a new shift. Democrats going after, well, we've seen Democrats suddenly being pro-censorship, going after misinformation, and they're also the ones pro-CBDCs, pro the banking system, because if we can make money transactions transparent, then we can follow the money and we can shut you down when you are dissenting against what you're supposed to be doing, when you're no longer doing what you should be with your digital ID, or you're protesting things like mandates and lockdowns or whatever else that they're going to throw on us. When you start protesting those things, we need to be able to control you. So it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say Sam Bankman-Fried was operating on behest of Democrats. I believe that, and again, this is just conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat Kim talking, I suppose. And I just would like more investigation onto this, and we'll continue to follow this. But there's clearly a concerted effort to switch us into this more digital, big brother surveillance world. And whoever is behind those forces is probably behind that narrative shift inside the Democratic Party, and also behind Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. That would be my guess. And we're going to have to continue to look at this and follow it. But something smells fishy is, I think, what all of us should kind of take away from this. So that's the update on FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried and the campaign charges being dropped suddenly. Ooh, convenient for the Democrats who took a lot of money from them. All right, I want to tell you about Cozy Earth. These sheets, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm really not going to lie. They are actually the best sheets I've ever slept on in my life. They sent me a set, and I thought, okay, how great can sheets be? Sheets are sheets. I'm kind of one of those people. But I started using these sheets. They were good the first time I used them. The more I washed them, the better they got. And I wash my sheets every week. So and I have other sheets. But I've gotten to a point where, and I used to rotate my sheets out because, I'd put one in the wash and then make my bed with a new set. And I don't do that anymore because I only have one set of these sheets right now. I need to go and order some and take advantage of the offer that they're giving to you. And to me, I'm going to take advantage of it as well, the 40% discount. But I honestly only make my bed with these sheets now because they genuinely are the best sheets I've ever slept on in my life. I'm kind of a hot sleeper, and these sheets keep me cool, especially in the summer. It is really important. But I have slept on these sheets even when it was cold outside and I needed warmth, and these sheets were so soft and so absolutely amazing. So they are, I'm not going to lie to you, kind of pricey, but the 40% off is a really good deal, and these are worth it. You sleep so much in your bed, you want some really soft sheets. So these are made out of this really great breathable, temperature regulating viscose from bamboo. And these will have you sleeping cooler and more comfortably. I'm telling you, they're really awesome. And if you don't, they will refund everything to you, plus shipping, your purchase price, shipping, all of that. If you are not as thrilled with them as I am, they will refund you, no questions asked, okay? You get 100 nights to try them out, and then you can return them if you don't like them. But you're not going to return them. I swear you're going to go back and you're going to want more, just like me. These sheets really are amazing. So for a limited time, you could save up to 40% on Cozy Earth. Go to cozyearth.com and enter Iversen at checkout to save that 40%. I'm telling you, try them out 100 nights. If you don't sleep better, just send them back, full refund, no questions asked. CozyEarth.com, promo code Iversen for 40% off.